Listen, if you've walked through the fire and you're still standing, there's a reason you're here right now. Survival wasn't the end of your story, it was the call to step into your true strength. Today, we're diving into the 5 essential steps for thriving after survival experiences, because life isn't just about making it through, it's about rising, reclaiming your power, and creating a future that excites you. If you're ready to transform pain into purpose, if you're ready to take back the pen and rewrite your next chapter, then stay with me, because this is where your breakthrough begins. 1. First, acknowledge and process your emotions. The very first step to thriving, not surviving. Thriving is this: you must acknowledge and process your emotions. Not bury them. Not numb them. Not tell yourself to just get over it. Because hear me on this, whatever you suppress doesn't disappear, it grows. And the moment you finally turn toward those emotions instead of running from them, that's the moment you begin taking your power back. You've been through something real. Something heavy. Something that left an imprint. And there is nothing weak about feeling the impact of it. In fact, the strongest thing you can do is to face what's inside you with honesty and courage. This is where transformation begins. Take a breath. Slow down. Ask yourself, what am I really feeling? What have I been afraid to admit? What pain have I been carrying alone? Because the truth is, your emotions are not your enemy. They're signals. They're messengers. They're the parts of you that want to be seen, heard, and healed. And when you allow yourself to really feel, you create space for release, for clarity, for freedom. This is the foundation. This is where you stop surviving your story and start rewriting it. So stay with me, because once you unlock this first step, the next ones will take you from wounded to awakened to unstoppable. R, rebuild your inner identity, decide who you are now. Once you've faced your emotions, the next step is to rebuild the most powerful force in your life, your identity. Okay? Because listen, after a survival experience, your mind can get stuck in old labels. Hurt, broken, powerless, alone. Those labels felt true in the moment, but they are not who you are anymore. You survived, you endured. You're here. That means you're stronger than the thing that tried to break you. But thriving doesn't happen by accident. It happens when you consciously choose the identity you want to live from. You can ask yourself, who am I now? Who do I want to become? And what identity will move me forward instead of chaining me to my past? This is where you draw a line in the sand. You stop telling the story of limitation, and you start telling the story of possibility. You stop identifying with the wound, and you start identifying with the warrior. Because here's the truth. Your identity shapes your thinking, your decisions, your habits, your future. When you shift your identity, everything in your life begins to realign. Okay? You are not the same person who went through the fire. You are someone with deeper insight, deeper strength, deeper resilience. This is the moment you choose to own that. So stay with me, because once your identity shifts, Sam will show you exactly how to build the life that new identity deserves. Then reclaim your personal power through one radical choice. Take ownership of your life again. Now that you've faced your emotions, now that you've started rebuilding your identity, it's time for the step that turns survivors into leaders of their own lives. You must reclaim your power by taking radical ownership of your life again. And listen, I want to speak to you human to human right now. There was a time when life ripped control out of your hands. A moment where something happened to you, not because of you, and that experience may have left you feeling powerless, frozen, or disconnected from your own strength. But this is the turning point. Ownership is not about blaming yourself for what happened. It's about refusing to let the past dictate your future. It's about standing up, looking at your life with honesty and fire, and saying, What happened to me does not get to decide who I become next. Yeah, this is the moment you shift from victim of circumstance to architect of your destiny. And you take ownership of your healing, your habits, your mindset, your actions, your next chapter. Okay? Because here's the truth. Most people never hear, you don't need permission to step back into your power. You just need the courage to claim it. Ownership is where that courage lives. Yeah. It's the moment you stop waiting for someone else to fix it. Stop waiting for perfect conditions. Stop waiting for the fear to disappear. And you decide to move forward anyway. Okay? This is how you rebuild momentum. This is how you rebuild trust in yourself. This is how you reclaim your life. And once you take ownership, truly take it every step, after this becomes easier, clearer, and more aligned with the person you're becoming. See, rebuild your life through massive, purpose-driven action. Now that you've reclaimed your power, it's time for the step that separates dreamers from transformers. You must take massive, purpose-driven action. And let me tell you this straight from the heart. Healing isn't passive. Transformation isn't passive. Thriving isn't passive. At some point, you have to stand up, look at your life and say, I'm done waiting. I'm done drifting. I'm ready to build the life I deserve, because knowledge without action changes nothing. Hope without action moves nothing. Strength without action builds nothing. Man, this is the moment you take everything you've learned, everything you've felt, everything you've survived, and you turn it into forward momentum. But listen, I'm not talking about perfection. I'm not talking about having it all figured out. I'm talking about small, powerful, consistent steps that reconnect you to life. Yeah, the kind of steps that remind you, okay, I'm still here, I still matter, I still get to choose, okay, I still have something to give. Maybe it's setting boundaries you've never set before, okay? Maybe it's creating a routine that supports your well-being. Maybe it's reconnecting with people who lift your spirit. Maybe it's working toward a dream you buried years ago. Whatever it is, it must be aligned with the identity you're building, not the identity you're leaving behind. And here's the real truth about action. When you take even one step toward the life you want, your brain starts believing it's possible. When you take 10 steps, your heart starts believing you deserve it. When you keep going, your entire reality begins to shift. Action is the bridge between surviving your past and creating your future. Okay, this is where momentum is born. This is where confidence grows. Kenya, this is where your new life begins to take shape. Woo! Surround yourself with a support system that rebuilds you, not reminds you of your pain. This final step, this is the one that anchors everything. Because no matter how strong you are, no matter how resilient you've become, humans are not meant to heal alone. Let me say that again. You are not meant to heal alone. Hey, you're not supposed to hold all the weight by yourself. You're not supposed to pretend you're fine while your heart is still learning how to trust the world again. Yeah, you're not supposed to survive in silence. This is the step where you allow yourself to receive what you've given to others for so long: support, connection, understanding, and genuine care. Because here's the truth most people never admit. No, healing isn't just about what you do internally. And it's also about who you allow into your life externally. You need people who speak life into you. People who remind you of your strength when you forget. People who don't just see what you survived. They see who you're becoming. And people who help you feel safe enough to grow again. And listen closely. This isn't about having a crowd. It's about finding your people, the ones who align with your healing, not your hurt. Sometimes that means letting go of those who keep pulling you back into an old version of yourself, the version you've worked so hard to rise above. And sometimes it means reaching out for professional help, a coach, a counselor, someone trained to guide you through the deep layers of your journey. Sometimes it means opening up to one trusted friend and saying the words you've been scared to say. I'm healing, but I still need support. And that's not weakness. That's wisdom. That's strength. That's being human. Because when you surround yourself with the right people, something beautiful happens. You know, your nervous system relaxes, your heart softens, your hope returns, your belief in what's possible expands, and suddenly the world doesn't feel so heavy anymore. You begin to feel safe, not because life is perfect, right? But because you're no longer carrying it alone. God, this is where your transformation becomes sustainable. This is where your new identity takes root. Okay, this is where you stop surviving and you start living with a sense of peace, purpose, and freedom you may not have felt in years. And that feeling is what you deserve. Not later, not someday, but now, and your new life starts now. If you're still watching this, if you made it all the way through these 5 steps, I want you to hear me clearly. Okay? This is not the end of your healing. This is the beginning of your becoming. And you didn't come this far just to survive. You came this far to rise, to rebuild, and to reclaim the parts of you that were buried under fear, pain, or silence. To step into a life that finally reflects your strength, your worth, and your truth. And listen, what you went through may have shaped you, but it does not define you. Why, you define you? By the choices you make, by the identity you choose, by the actions you take. Can it? By the people you surround yourself with. Right here, right now, you have everything you need to create a future that feels like freedom, not fear. Okay, like possibility, not limitation, like your life, not your past. So take a breath, place your hand on your heart and know this, you are stronger than you think, more capable than you realize, and more deserving than you've ever been told. If this video moved, you don't just walk away inspired, walk away committed to your healing, committed to your growth. Hey, committed to the next version of you that's waiting just on the other side of courage. Hey, because your new story begins the moment you decide, I am done surviving. I am ready to thrive. Thank you for being here. And remember, your life is not defined by what happened to you, but by what you do next. Let's rise together